Greetings. On this week's episode, I interview the 2018 Heard 'em Say Slam team. Check it out.
Go Cheetahs! Go Cheetahs!
Greetings, Tom Earl here. Just want to do a little intro, a little pre-roll before we start this week's episode. As you might have seen, this is going to be a super awesome interview and episode with the 2018 Heard 'em Say Slam team based out of Tampa, Florida. Now, putting this episode together required some real brainstorming and problem solving between myself and their coach, Wally B, of how do we interview and get 5 people within the frame, the video frame, and mic'd, all doing this remotely without me there to help. And so the episode that you're gonna hear, we're super proud of. The conversation that the young people have and the thoughts and poems they share are super relevant, impactful, and truly important for you to hear. But I do wanna let you know that at some parts, some of the team members, it's gonna be just a little bit hard for you to hear them. A couple things they said because of the audio issues, it got dropped. So I'm gonna let you know that right off the bat, but I just wanna share that it's totally worth it anyway. So if the audio quality is not quite what you're used to for the Celebration Academy episodes, I ask that you forgive us in advance, because the conversation we have and the unique perspective you're gonna get to hear from these young people is truly amazing, inspiring. It gives me goosebumps. I've listened to this episode already 4 or 5 times, and so I know you're gonna like it, but just wanna ask that you just have a little forgiveness and flexibility on the audio quality for this week's episode. We were experimenting with how do you do this, and we learned some lessons learned, some best practices that we will apply if and when we do this again. And so, I appreciate your forgiveness and your flexibility. I hope you stick through it anyways and really get to hear the gems that they drop and the poetry they share. And so without further ado, I'll step out of the way and we will start the episode officially. Peace and blessings.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of The Celebration. As you know, this is my year of courage. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today sharing your greatest gifts, your time and attention with us, means the absolute world to me. Now, I want to share with you that this coming Sunday is going to be our live and online expression session, and we are celebrating our 2-year anniversary. Now, for those who were there from the beginning, you'll remember that I had an amazing guest who goes by the name of Wally B. Now, I was talking with Wally, and we said, let's do this in an amazing way and bring in almost the entire team of Heard 'em Say. And so if you're watching the video, you can already see that we have a whole team here. But if you're listening, you are in for a surprise. Y'all want to say peace? What's up? How's it going?
Hey! How's it going? Peace.
So why don't we go ahead and have y'all introduce each other? So I think we're starting on with Gabby. You want to introduce the person next to you and so on?
Okay. This is Jennings, and her poet name is Bobo.
This is Wally B, Jennings.
This is Miracle Ingram. She's going into her senior year at DeWitt High School.
This is Kiana, but her poet name is Solano, and she's going into freshman year of college.
And that's Gabby, but she goes by Rael, and she's doing poems.
Nice, y'all. Can we snap it up for your wonderful and powerful selves? So, Wally, why don't you talk a little bit about what's Heard 'em Say, what brings the team together, all that kind of stuff for us?
Sure. So Heard 'em Say was founded in May of 2007 to identify, cultivate, and empower youth in activism and advocacy through artistic education and expression. That's our mission. And that's the kind of formal definition of what we do. The real life version of what we do is that this was during the time when the city was instituting ordinances about curfews for young people. And there was so much being said about young people can't go here, they can't go there, they can't do this, do that. And my concern was that, well, where can they go and what can they do? So that's really why Heard 'em Say was founded, which was to provide a safe space and an artistic and social platform for young people to come out and express themselves. And so we actually, what started as really just an open mic. And as a space for young people to do that, it's grown into a program, which is now an organization. And so these amazing young people that are on stage with me, they're actually a part of a collective that will be going to the Brave New Voices International Poetry Festival in Houston, Texas next month in July. And that is one of the parts of our programs that we're able to participate in that and have for the past 9 years. We're very proud of that.
That's dope. How do y'all feel about that? Does that mission statement resonate with you, where Wally was saying there's so many rules that's saying young people can't go here, can't go there? There just doesn't seem like there's any place you can go. Do you resonate with that?
For sure, definitely. I know that before I heard him say I was very, I wouldn't say bad, but definitely not, my freedom of speech and everything wasn't really ideal. Like, it wasn't really where I wanted it to be. But after joining him today, I've definitely been more free in who I am and expressing myself, especially in terms of having an audience that will listen to me and is willing to listen to me.
So, I discovered Heard Him Say, but it was like a really rocky time in my life, and it still is, but you know. And it's really been a way for me to like express myself, even though that like sounds cliche, but really like actually express verbally how I feel and have people listen to me. And I never really thought before this that people would want to listen to me. So yeah, I resonate with that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel the statement more like the most, simply because I didn't want to do poetry. I didn't want to like get on stage. Like the first year, I like sat home. I didn't want to do it. My friend Jennings, who was captain of the team, she was on the team, and everybody's like, "Yeah, you should do it. You should do it." And I was like, "That's not for me." But when I really got into Heard Him Say, it opened me up to like different experiences and different opportunities and different outlets to like speak my opinion and voice like how I feel and who I am positively, other than like the negative ways that I was doing before. So it really gave me the place that Wally spoke on to be like a platform almost.
Before I discovered Heard Him Say, I was in a very like dark space. I grew up being silenced, so when I came to Heard Him Say, it was like I finally had a place to like speak my mind and not be afraid and have my words be like heard and accepted. So Heard Him Say has definitely helped me with being like more outgoing, and something that helped me in school and in my house. Like I can actually speak my mind and not be afraid of it.
That's powerful. Does anybody else resonate with kind of what Gabby and Genesis were saying about the transformation that took place when you started to speak your words out loud?
Yeah, I was not that confident. I was not confident at all. Like even the way I bounce, like the way I like walk and the way I even talk is different because I wasn't a confident person at all. Like I was very I wouldn't say reserved because I still talk to people, but I was very not confident in who I was as a person or who I wanted to be either. So
I definitely resonate with that. About 6 months ago, I was a completely different person. Generally, like my identity as a whole has shifted 180 degrees. It's made me not only more confident, like you said, definitely repeat on that, but it's also made me more comfortable with being confident. Actually, like helping me understand what I feel, understand what I'm feeling, not just being aware of it. So yeah.
Genesis or Gabby, do you want to elaborate at all?
I would like before Heard Him Say, I was an angry kid. I was like really angry. Like I was fighting often. I was getting into like fights with my parents, fights with friends, fights with like random people just to start stuff because like I felt like it came from hiding from who I was like as a person. Like I was hiding from my truth basically. I was hiding from who I was and how I felt about certain situations. And like since I joined Heard Him Say, I feel like I've found peace as as an outlet. I found peace in my outlet. I found peace in myself because like now there's no real reason to be upset. Now I can like verbalize and I can properly say, this is upsetting me. And even like sitting down with myself and figuring out myself, like Heard Him Say is more than just like poetry. It's really like a life experience as to like becoming a completely different person. person. Like, I don't know, this conversation probably would have been real different like 6 months ago. Like, it would have been a completely different person. Like, even like now, I smile a lot more. Like, I'm a lot happier. Like, doing things, like being myself is a lot easier since like I found how to do that.
It's powerful.
Heard them say isn't just poetry. When I came here, I was like, well, I like to write. So I came here to like improve my writing and stuff, but I didn't expect to create the friendships I've created. Like, I never knew I would have made such amazing friendships. And I realized that I'm not alone. Like, before I came to hear them say it, I didn't want to tell. I just didn't like talking to people or talking about like what was on my mind and stuff. And that really made me an overall upset person. But when I came to hear them say it, and I found such amazing people and accepting people and people who actually cared about me and stuff, it just made me more open and made me more open-minded. I thought I was an open-minded person, but I really wasn't, like you heard them say. And it's just such positivity and loving people, and I'm just grateful I found her in City.
That's powerful. I appreciate y'all starting us off being so open and honest and vulnerable. Really appreciate that. Wally, is there any kind of sitting there? Is there any thoughts or reactions or reflections coming up for you?
Yeah, a lot. It's really overwhelming because, again, just starting out, it's amazing how you can start out with like an idea to do something and it ends up growing outside of and beyond what you initially thought. And the thing that even as you look on stage, as you look now, like the diversity, not just in the ethnicity, but just the different backgrounds. I'm very proud of that because we don't sit around going, okay, how can we get more girls involved? How can we get more non-gender binary? How can we get more guys involved? How can we get more this and that? We really just, everyone that has come has been drawn by the transparency and the honesty and the sincerity of the program. And the genuine idea that when we say we really value what young people have to say and we create space for that, I think young people are often lied to when they're told those things. But when they come and see that, wow, they really mean it. Like, because I have some things that I really want to say, and I said them, and they didn't flinch. Like, they didn't make me feel bad about saying the things that I've been through or the things that I feel. And I'm not made to feel bad about it, but they actually help me to embrace it and understand it. And so, it just the whole thing, I continue to just be overwhelmed by it. And it's always new for me. Like, it's never, and especially like in the field of education, there's a lot of talk about burnout and teachers that go through kind of compassion fatigue. And to be honest, like I've never felt that. And maybe because we're still growing, maybe because we have so far to go, but it's always so fresh and new, and it never gets old, like hearing a young person talk about what the program is doing for them and how it's helped to grow them.
That's powerful. And I saw a lot of heads nodding while Wally was speaking his truth. What the stuff y'all were saying about the way poetry and spoken word transforms not only you as a writer, but your entire life. It's a theme I hear from a lot of poets. What do you think it is about spoken word that is such a conduit for that kind of personal transformation?
Me, I'm going first. I feel like it's because you can say what you have to say, what you need to say, like for your inner self, and no one's gonna judge you for it. Like when I get on stage, I can say anything. I can sit up there and say trash for 2 hours straight. But if I need to get off my chest, no one's gonna judge me for it. No one's gonna say, oh, like there's never negative energy. Like it's always like. And I feel like that's why poetry and like spoken word, stuff like that, it helps a person grow, because usually like in society you're shushed a lot. You're told that you can't say or you can't do or you should be or you should. And from the time you walk on stage So the time you walk off, you get to be completely who you are. And there's really no judgment for it. No one's side-eyeing me for it. Like, we're just listening. Like, it's a forum to listen. And just having someone listen to you, even if it's like 5 minutes every month, like, that can change a person a lot, because it goes from no one listening to you at all to that little bit of time for you to actually be yourself and voice how you feel and voice your opinions, and you're completely unjudged for it. And I feel like that's really why it changes people.
Okay. So, me personally, I'm a very passive person, or at least I used to be before Heard Him Say. So that's one of the things that Heard Him Say really did change about me. I think for spoken word in particular, like you said, from the time you get on stage to the time you walk off, it is your stage. You really can't be passive whenever you're doing spoken word, because if you're not there, then the poem's barely there, because the poem is yours. The poem belongs to you. So whenever you go up there, you really do have to be present and give the audience the energy that you are bottling up inside, which is something I had to learn myself. So I think spoken word really does transform things because you're almost forced to become who you need to be at that moment in order to perform the poem the way you want it to be performed, because sometimes those two don't always link up. So really, it's just all about being the person that you need to be for yourself, and having people who will respond to you and give you back the energy that you're pouring out onto them, almost.
And making a habit out of it.
And making a habit out of it. That's so important. Not just doing it once as catharsis and then moving on, but steadily giving people parts of yourself and then healing.
I feel like for me, specifically because I'm an avoider. That's how I used to cope with things. Something happened to me, and my immediate is let me put that on the back burner and not think about that. But when you're actively you're in front of a crowd, you're on a stage, or maybe you're not on a stage, maybe you're just standing there and people are listening. You are you're almost forced to listen. Forced to listen to yourself above all else. You're saying something out loud. It's not I'm thinking this and I can pretend I'm not thinking this, or I can pretend that it's not there. You can't pretend something is not there when you're saying it. So it's and I feel things people forget about poets is we go home from slams and open mics, those words are still with us. We go home and stuff and we realize, wow, I just said that out loud in front of a group of people. But it's those words stick with you. When they're out into the air, they're out. It's not you can't pretend that it's not there anymore when it's out. So it's my way of stop that habit of avoiding, because that's how it is.
Spoken word gives you confidence, because when you're on that stage, people have to listen to you. And it's so when they're listening to you, you want to make it count. You don't want to give a half performance. You just have to be powerful with your words, and you have to really actually stand in your truth.
I appreciate y'all sharing that. And I think I saw a lot of us were agreeing, resonating with each other's words, which I think for me is a part of spoken word too, is the listening, getting to hear other people articulate exactly what it is you're feeling in such a powerful way. I think that's why audiences can't help but just go, we don't do it on purpose. It just draws the spirit out of you. Wally, what about for you? What is your thoughts? Why do you think spoken word does that for people?
So for me, I feel that especially with poetry is so accessible. And that's one of the things that I've kind of found as an artist, getting to know other artists. And, everybody may not have access to paint. Everybody may not have access to materials to be a visual artist, even though you can use almost anything. Not everybody has the capacity to want to dance or sing and things of that nature, but everybody has the capacity to write. Even if you just keep a diary or a journal, being able to record those things, everybody has the ability to be able to do that and to share your experiences. And so, because of the accessibility of it, and because of the idea of it being so, you have the choice of keeping it personal and confidential, or you can share it. And what I'm always so proud of with these young people And my experience has been, wow, like there are other people that actually have gone through and can empathize with the things that I've experienced and gone through, or think the way that I think, which meant a lot to me, because especially when you are a certain way and you feel like you're the only one that thinks about the things you think about. You feel like you're the only one that is processing life the way that you are. You feel like alone in a dangerous way. But like when you open up and begin to share that with other people, and you are able to connect with other people, or they connect with your words, like some of the words that were mentioned, like confidence, that kind of thing, it really is very important. Like in not just the art, but just in you accepting yourself for who you are. Like, because that's a difficult thing, and that's a challenging thing in life, is to accept everything about you, like the good, the bad, the you don't know yet, the indifferent, the challenge. Like all of those things make up who you are, and being all that you can is an amalgamation of you embracing all of those things that make you, because all those things make you unique. So yeah, it's a challenging thing, and the great thing about poetry and spoken word, what it does is it helps us to navigate all of that stuff, and to know that we're not walking through it alone. That we have people that are going to hold us up, that are going to support us and say, "Hey, I'm here to at least listen to you." Doesn't mean that I agree, because I don't have to agree. Doesn't mean that I'm going to like it, because I don't have to like it. But just a person being a sounding board and a listening ear goes a long way.
Yes, indeed. Well, I think we've kind of teased our audience enough to kind of give them what they're here for. So what's going to be our first poem that y'all are going to share with them?
So I guess you want to introduce the first piece?
Okay, cool.
Society thinks I'm selling dope. They think I'm up to no good. They come up with these conclusions not based on my actions, but based on my appearance. My skin color, my melanin, or warm, brown, sweet like cocoa, and society hates it. They look at it and think I'm dangerous. Because the government's angels weep, they spy on my people, speak false prophecies to the population, and spread fear amongst my neighbors. Members of society see me walk along the cracked sidewalk, cracked like this great nation's morals, and they change the direction. I walk into a store and I am stared down by the cashier as if I'm going to hold him at gunpoint, clear the register of his contents. I walk into an elevator and the lady next to me sees me and clutches her purse until her knuckles turn white. They see me for my color, not my character. And I'm left to wonder, how can something so beautiful be turned criminal? The stain radiates our society as the eyes bore into my soul. The eyes of laser beams penetrate my being, and my soul shrivels up like a raisin in the sun. I feel guilty, as if I'm the one in the wrong, as if I'm the one that created fear of a small community and endangered their lives with false stereotypes, as if I'm the one that created a system specifically to oppress my people and other brown kin, as if the popo ain't shooting us in the streets for show, as if my people kidnapped, murdered, raped, and erased my ancestors' history and culture, and brought them across the great ocean they created with their salty tears, chained and shackled to this extraordinary place called America. America, land of the free, supposedly. Well, it ain't for me, and the show wasn't for my predecessors, as they were whipped and hung. The Calistans picked America's prophets as they sung their Negro spirituals, swing low, sweet chariot, and thought of freedom. My ancestors must have thought of their offspring's future, of freedom not oppression. Well, I'm sorry to tell them that we still have nooses who are tight around our necks by the weeping angels who study us. Them waiting on the next move to report back to society, to create more fear and worry of America being awoken from a slumber. Because if the weeping angels start speaking the false truths to the nation, America will finally see that we, my people, aren't in the wrong, but that in fact it is the so-called just and righteous angels who are here to protect us who are in the wrong. The ones who shoots my brothers and leave them dead in the streets. The ones who kills my sisters and call them murders of suicide. The ones who bring angel dust to our communities and call it a war on drugs, but use it as an excuse to lock even more of us up. The ones who chains us, arrest us, and beats us to even more black and blue. The only time they make minorities a priorities when they tarnish our names. And it's such a shame that I can't be black in America without being killed in vain. The angels aren't here to protect us. They're against us, and they leave us in the dust.
We could snap it up for Gabby. That was fire. Could you elaborate a little more for us? Where did that poem come from for you? Take us back to do you type your poems? Do you write them on your phone? Do you use pen and ink?
It was based off a prompt that I got the second month of. I was listening to J. Cole, and I listened to the first line, and he said, "The neighbors think I'm selling dope," and I was like, well, that's where the poem came from, and I just started writing about how America sees us black people and the false things and how their stereotypes are negative for us.
We were at Tom, if I could jump in. So we were actually partnering with the University of South Florida, their Contemporary Art Museum. They did a year-long exhibition that featured flags from various artists. And so we were invited to participate and to choose a flag, and the students were given the opportunity to write a poem based on the flag. And the flag that we chose was called the Weeping Angel, which was it's a depiction of a weeping angel, but it's also a government surveillance system that the government uses to actually monitor citizens in their conversations in their homes. And so Gabby actually took the writing prompt and obviously really molded it into her experience as a black woman in America, which I thought was very powerful and appropriate.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe if anybody else wants to speak to that, specifically as, young black women writing poetry, speaking your truth, what is the importance of that?
The importance of writing as a young black woman is for me, I know when I was younger, I was by myself a lot. I chose to isolate myself a lot, and I didn't get to have a voice. I didn't get to have to speak on things that was important to me. So writing now is being able to talk to my younger self and be able to get all the words out that my younger self couldn't say, because now I'm 18, I can talk for myself. So now that she can't speak, I speak for her, and I speak for all the other young girls who have who probably don't have a voice either, or maybe they just happen to. I write for the people that might happen to come up to a show, for the girls who might be going through something and just happen to be at the right place at the right time. I write for them, for the girls who don't have a voice and can't say everything they want to say, or think things and can't verbalize it, or can't write it how they feel it, and they think that they're alone. I write for them, and that's why it's important to me to write, because not everybody can express themselves and has the opportunity to express themselves the way I do.
Yeah. Going off of that, black women tend to be gaslighted a lot, and we often feel really alone in our things, just like you do. We tend to be seen as individuals, we're demonized a lot for the things that our community gives us, both as women and as black people. And then I don't want to say double discrimination, but double discrimination. Whenever you put those two factors together, it's kind of we've been kicked down, and then we're kicked down once we're already down. So, and no one really wants to hear what we have to say whenever we're being kicked down. So the fact that poetry not only gives us an outlet to speak, but also a crowd that wants to be heard, and the fact that everyone listens to each other really unites us. I think it kind of allows us to find unity in our struggles, even though we may experience it different ways. The underlying themes are always there. And even this year, like, most of our poems were about race and about being a woman, which is kind of like a no-brainer, but also like pretty much all of our poems are about that. And it kind of goes to show that these are the things we experience together.
Going off of the demonization thing, also like the idea of like the whole like angry black woman thing. Like if we ever want to say something, or if we ever want to just like, you know, like be a human being and say things, it's like, oh, she's being angry again. Oh no, she's complaining again. Oh, she's angry. She's scary. But like we're just trying to like say what's on our minds. And I feel like even like within our own communities, like the black community as a whole, like even some black men like see black women as like something demonized and angry and something very not, what's the opposite of holy? There it is. Very demon. So I feel like they see us that way sometimes. So I like that we all write together and we're writing poems and like people are willing to listen to us, not just like read it off as some sort of angry black woman just going on another tirade. And maybe it is, but there it is.
But that's on top of like society praising other people for doing what we do. Like I had on bamboo earrings. I wish I could them on, but like people get praised for wearing bamboo earrings. It's like when I was younger, I used to get made fun of wearing big hoop earrings and always having my hair braided. But now it's a trend, and it's like now I get to like really say what I want to say. Like it's like I can say, okay, look, this is my stuff. And I'm not an angry black woman. I'm just a little, disappointed. Like I always say that, like, writing for me is like I get to express like my frustrations and my disappointments, and it's not. I'm not going to be mauled for it. Like an angry mob isn't going to come out with pitchforks and fire torches trying to like burn me at the stake for like feeling how I feel on top of being black and female.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're just feeling normal human emotions. We're just normal human beings. So, especially like a lot of our crowd are black women. Like, it just hit me, but like, oh,
that's true.
There's the boys of one.
That's true, yeah.
Well, once again, if we could just show some love for Gabby for creating the space for us to have this important conversation. We really appreciate that. Who's going to be sharing the next poem?
Me. Miracle.
What's the name of this poem?
It's called Questions to God, and it's based off the same prompt as Gabby had the flag with the angel on it, and I guess I just interpreted it a little bit differently. So the way I just focused on the angel part of it and not the surveillance part. So I made it like very personal to like me and my experience as like a black woman, and not only that, but a black gay woman, triple minority A. But the poem's just about that, and it's about my personal relationship with God. I grew up in a religious household, so God's always been like in my life in some way, shape, or form. And so those were all questions that I was much too afraid in the past to ask. So I was like, I'm gonna write all these questions down in a poem and then say them out loud. So yeah.
All right, here we go. Can we show some love as Miracle takes the stage?
Questions to God from a fallen angel. God, when I cry, do you hear me? When us black girls cry, do you hear us? Do you hear us screaming? And is it okay to be angry at you? Why does dark skin seem to shorten a lifespan? Is our melanin equated with trigger fingers, although we are never the ones holding the gun? God, if you're in control and man has proclaimed that you are white, does that mean that you are the one holding the gun? Is the American dream real? When I look in the mirror, should my reflections show in tints of red, white, and blue? Isn't that what the American dream is? Stripping patriotism from my skin like weeds or cotton? When I look in the mirror, should I be proud of what I see? Is pride still a sin if it's necessary? Is it okay that I seek more validation from a porcelain complexion than I do from you? Do we water the soil with black girl tears? And if we do, doesn't that mean that our pain is a commodity? I mean, doesn't the government exchange blood-stained money for slave-made silver coins still? And why does our blood always seem to be seeping into the pavement? Is it because it looks prettier that way? Because chalk on concrete doesn't exactly glisten the same way as a crimson river flowing out of a shadow-tinted body. Is that why the rainbow begins with red? God, is it okay to love the rainbow eyes? To see her mind radiating in primaries, secondaries, tertiaries? Did you know that painters mix these tints to create the entire rainbow? Is that why they called it art? Is love art? Is it contradicting to love you and to love a woman at the same time? And does this make me any less human? Is it true that your hand courses light into water, reflecting colors and bending rays at the seams? Do I notice these spectrums of color more than I am supposed to? Did you know that violet is seen at the edge of the rainbow because water causes it to arch the farthest? If my aura was a color, don't you think it would be violet because I'm always bending over backward trying to fit within the seam of your verses? Am I the daughter that fell from your lap and was never picked back up again? Is it okay that I'm afraid to love sometimes? Because isn't fear a sin? And isn't love mentioned in the 10 Commandments, God? Don't you know that I've tried? That I reread your verses time after time until I became a paper doll for you? Have you ever folded and creased your mind so much that it was impossible to recognize yourself anymore? Do you recognize me? Are birthmarks and scars the same thing? Which one of these do you use to identify your children? God, did you know that I painted you a picture once? My skin as a canvas with the razor as my brush. When I drew my own blood, did you drink it like wine? Did you use it to cleanse my soul and make me divine in time? Could you make me pretty as a painting? Could you make me worthy of being hung up in your museum? When you molded me from the clay of my mother's womb, did you imagine that I would be asking you these questions? And God, if I was made in your image, don't you think that I deserve as much of a chance as your other children? Don't you believe that my questions matter? I mean, don't you believe that my existence matters? I've done enough talking. Is it your turn now?
Can we step it up for Miracle, please? Yes, indeed. Miracle, is there a line from the poem or a phrase that, I mean, the whole poem is powerful, but that really sticks out to you or speaks to you when you say it?
Well, the last line. The last line is after all the questions. It's like, is it your turn now? Which everyone always points out that I have that line in there. But that to me was very like, I was talking to someone recently about the poem, and they said that it was very like daring to do that. I didn't understand why at first, but it was like, it's daring to ask God for answers. Like, it's daring to be like, it's your turn. Like, I already said what I had to say, like, is it your turn? And it's almost like, I don't want to say calling out God, but like being like, I need my answers, like that type of thing. So I feel like that was the most courageous part of the poem. And the part of the poem that like was most difficult for me to say. Like when I first started doing the poem, I wouldn't say that line for a long time until like the first time I performed it.
A lot of people sounded like we're saying that it takes a lot of maybe courage to have such a invitation and challenge to God. Where did that courage come from inside of you to be bold enough to write those lines and to speak them?
I feel like I'm trying to go back to when I wrote that poem. I think I do know the answer. When I came to Heard Him Say was when I first started truly challenging God and challenging belief in the way, like before Heard Him Say, like I would really push that away. Like I would just like be like I saw myself as religious. Now I only see myself as spiritual, but in the past I saw myself as religious. But I would, every time I thought about God, I thought about questions I had, I would always push that away. When I came to Heard Him Say, it was a poem by Dennis Amadeus, which I don't know if you know, you probably know what that is. I don't know. But
I think he knows.
I know, like I don't want to assume. But yeah, Dennis Amadeus, he did a poem that was kind of like challenging God in a way. And that kind of like really spoke to me a lot. Like I don't think he even knows like how much that poem like meant to me, and I still think about it like on a daily basis. But when I first heard that poem, it kind of was like, wow, like I can really challenge God. Like it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to be confused, and it's okay to want answers and to interpret things differently than other people interpret things. So I feel like that poem and just finding Heard Him Say and and finding other people who also challenged, other people who saw themselves as spiritual and religious, who also challenged God or challenged their belief system, really inspired them to do the same.
Appreciate you sharing that. And Dennis was a past guest on the celebration. And actually, we have a poem we wrote together about God. So is there any questions for y'all that stuck out during the poem?
Is it okay to love you and a woman, God?
Mm.
It's weird because like I always thought that was like one big question that I always wanted to ask. Like growing up like in a Seventh-day Adventist home, it was never okay to ask questions to God. So like it's never okay to even ask questions to grandma. So like when when I heard your poem, I didn't think of it as like individual questions. I thought it was like one big question that like I wanted to ask.
The last question, is it your turn now? I mean, as a person who struggles with religion and not sure what I believe in, it resonates with me because one reason why I may not believe in God is because it's like we're always talking to him, but like, how do I get my religion? I'm sorry.
I relate to that.
Yeah. So it's like when I hear that, it's like, okay, so I have to follow all 10 commandments. I have to act like this. I can't wear that. I have to be this person. I can't be that person. I go to church every Saturday, like I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I have to praise God and not praise myself. I have to do this and I have to act this way. I have to like. There's so many commandments and rules and strict guidelines to be religious. So it's like I understood that the most because you're always trying to figure out how to conform precisely to being God in God's image, because that's how you're supposed to be to get into heaven. You have to be perfect. You have to fit. Like there's no room for error or sin because you have to like be perfect in order to like be holy.
I actually wanted to add on to that because I think I actually feel the same way. But for me, I'm not sure if this is the same for you, but there's like a difference between like religion and spirituality. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the poem is very much like questioning religious authority and all the things that we've been taught through religion, while still keeping that element of like what God's doing. Like,
I just love how, 1 3-minute poem can just create so much discussion, reflection. Wally, kind of the conversation we're having reminds me a little bit of the poem that you have where it starts off, I believe, something like they say children should be seen and not heard.
That poem, I love that poem.
Mm.
Yeah, that's actually Heard Him Say. That's actually my Heard Him Say poem.
Mm.
And that's the premise behind it was the idea that that answers, solutions, wisdom is found all over. The Bible talks about wisdom being scattered all over. And so, and I actually had this conversation with a poet, of course, last year. And we were just talking about the idea that you can learn from anyone. You can learn from any situation. And the idea is being able to recognize wisdom and then being able to receive it. Just because you may have more education than somebody doesn't mean that you aren't able to learn and glean from them. As a matter of fact, that to me is that's the perfect example of what wisdom is. And for me, like being around, I have grown, and I tell young people all the time that they thank me and I actually thank them. And my mother told me a long time ago that if you want to stay young, like stay around young people. And so like I've grown so much as a person and as an artist and as a man, even with being responsible and understanding my role and place in the world and also with my work. Like I've learned so much from being around these young people and the way that they view things and their perspective and their energy. Like there's a lot to keep up with. And I don't consider myself old, but when you get around young people, you really see how old you really are. But I've learned so much because I've been open to learn from them and I want to learn from them. And so it's really, it's really powerful. And so like the premise behind the whole Heard Him Say poem is that it's for us as adults to actually take the time to not only listen to value young people, but listen because there's something you can actually learn and there's valuable information that we need.
Yes, indeed. Powerful. Appreciate that, Wally. So I believe we have one more poem. And who's that going to be by? Who's going to be in that one? process of elimination, I have a guess that it's going to be a team piece, but I could be wrong.
Genesis,
Miracle.
Solana.
and the poem we're doing is
Florida Man.
Florida man walks into a Publix, finds a discount just for him.
Florida man likes Publix a lot. So much that the Palm Beach Post reports 2 Publix employees stabbed by Florida man stealing salad.
I think, wow, he must have really wanted that salad.
I understand that, but then
ABC Action News reports Florida man beats up pregnant woman inside Publix.
I think, wow, Florida man always seems to be hurting other people.
there should be a tutorial on how to deal with America's most beloved superstar.
Florida man, always in the news,
In the stores.
On the block,
in my home. Florida man is notorious for being everyone.
yet no one at the same time.
How Florida man goes to my high school.
How he's always at the coffee shop.
How he finds it at every gas station on every street I go to.
The Miami Herald reports
Florida man arrested at gas station with blood on his hands.
the police report read the cause of the blood on the man's hands remains unclear.
He is violent.
Destructive.
Florida man loads his weapon, shoots up Christina Grimmie after stalking her for years.
Florida man worships the Confederate flag on I-4.
He shut up Pulse nightclub on Latin night.
Killed 49 queer people because they weren't enough Florida or enough man, which means that people in Florida have to die for Florida man to see his own fault lines.
And he still doesn't recognize boundaries.
Makes excuses for his destruction. Florida man makes us uncomfortable. Makes Florida women uncomfortable.
Tampa Bay Times reports
Florida man says sex addiction made him attack 2 women. Because Florida man makes prey out of anything he sees.
How I saw a crowd fighting at the Florida State Fair, and all my boyfriend said was, that looks fun.
How Florida man thinks violence is fun. How I don't feel safe walking through Ybor City in my favorite crop top anymore because Florida man can't seem to control his glance. How Florida man seems to ruin the happiest places on earth.
how Disney World is supposed to be a child's safe place, but I can't even wear shorts without being groped.
We've seen the face, recognized the voice, analyzed the exact moment. Adrenaline tells us to speed walk down the street. We don't want to be another add-on to a Florida man headline. Florida man locks woman in car outside of courthouse.
Florida man attacks woman with chainsaw.
Florida man kills wife and injures 2 children.
Florida man kills wife, invites neighbors to his home to show off dead body.
The news pays no attention to the woman.
We're forced to carry a man's burden for a lifetime. It's always up to us.
To clean up his mess,
Women deserve a prize for sitting in the shadows,
while men
create more headlines.
Make a name for himself.
Because there ain't no woman without the existence of a man. Collecting accolades off her back, she is nothing but a pawn.
only important as long as man permits it.
Leading lady in a role she was born to star in.
Her life was written for the headlines. Tampa Bay Times reports Florida woman gone missing. Found herself in this poem.
Can we snap it up? What is that poem? There was a lot of passion and a lot of, I'm sure when you perform that live, a lot of snaps and people, really feeling it. What does it mean for you to speak that poem, to share that poem?
Yes. Okay, so I'm from Kissimmee, and in Kissimmee, it's not as rural as it sounds. Like, it's very street and just gritty and weird, and just there's always stuff going on in Kissimmee, and it's always Florida man did this, Florida man did that, and a couple of times the Florida man was my uncle or my dad. so to hear Florida man being used as a meme, it was funny to me because I was a lot of the crazy stuff really does happen. Florida really is crazy. A lot of our headlines are real. When you can type in Florida man in Google and just swipe over the news, and you'll see all of these headlines of stuff, and you're just one of the lines in the poem. I was just looking up Florida man just for the sake of the poem, and it was Florida man kills wife and invites neighbors over to view dead body.
Oh my God.
He had dinner with his dead wife with the neighbors, and it's just so wild. So where I come from in Florida, Florida man was prominent. It was always a thing growing up. The news was full of Florida man, and at the end isn't really. Our end was supposed to be about Florida woman, and just how Florida woman is never accredited for her role in society. But when the previous heard him say, alumni?
Venus.
Yeah. She was like, well, what if we just change it to woman? And we're like, yeah. And then it was just like, the whole ending of the poem was so fire. Like, it all came together so perfectly. And it turned into just like the existence of Florida Man, how Florida Man like affects Florida women, to how man in general and media and society affects women in society, like women in general. So yeah.
So like Florida Man is a meme, and like I personally love memes.
Same.
Because I'm young and I like to laugh. But then you start getting into more serious ones, and it started to hit me that like these are men around me. Like I could go to a store and Florida Man's gonna be there. Like he's always gonna be there. I went to a gas station last week and I had 3 different men like creepily hit on me in the span of like 3 minutes, and I was very clearly distressed, but they kept on going. And it's just like it goes to show that like it happens to us.
R. Kelly.
Oh no.
Wally, as a Florida man, do you have anything you want to add or clarify?
Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, as they mentioned, like it's funny, and oftentimes we have to add humor in order to make something more digestible, and in order for the public to be able to consume it and see the seriousness of it also. And as a man, like it is, and not only a man now, but also as a man with daughters, it is a very challenging thing, watching and having my daughters go out in the world, whether they're my biological daughters or my daughters from her to say. And you know, I'm very embarrassed. I'm very ashamed of not only behavior of men today, but also it has allowed me to reflect on my behavior growing up as well, and to really be adamant about helping young men to understand how a lot of the things that we were taught growing up were completely false and completely wrong, and are part of the toxic masculinity culture that has been cultivated as far as with us operating in. A lot of the things that we're told about the way that we approach girls that we're interested in, a lot of the things that we are taught about the things that prove our manhood. All of those things have led us into a direction that has made us be more of a destructive force to the women to Black women, which are the people that birthed us. So, you know, it's very embarrassing. It's very discouraging. But I also believe that with poems like Florida Man, again, it causes a lot of laughter, but hopefully it causes a lot of thought-provoking as well, where we really look at ourselves and we don't deflect, but actually own it. You know, my whole thing lately has been, you know, own your stuff. You know, just like with a lot of what's going on in society and bad behavior of men that's from years ago that are coming back. Listen, just own it. Like just own it, accept it. Even if you are a different person and you're not that person anymore, like that's okay. But just own what you did, own who you were, so that our women can know that you may have gone through some challenges as far as with becoming that way, but don't deflect and don't put the blame on them, but actually, you know, own those things so that we can be better and encourage our boys to be better.
Yeah.
I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all.
You're not in the Florida Man category.
Unfortunately, I wish that were true, but it's not, because we're all one category. And you know, I've done some things that I'm not proud of, and you know, exhibited some behavior again because of the things that I was taught. And so I don't separate myself in that way, because I believe that, you know, in order to, you know, as far as to say that I'm better or not in that category would be to imply that I haven't done things that would be to imply that I haven't exhibited certain behavior that wasn't unhealthy. And you know, being able to be honest and share that with you all will hopefully also encourage you all to like continue to give us a chance. And you know, we need patience. You know, we need instruction and we need patience. But you know, we also need your love as well, like to not be in that category.
Nas said that he got all players gone, and you have two.
Gabby, did you have anything you wanted to add?
You're a Florida woman. We talked that whole conversation about how much we hated that. Honestly.
Y'all had a conversation. I don't have to do that.
Okay, no pressure. Just wanted to create the space, and if you had something you wanted to share. You know, I know all the listeners right now are just collectively, and I just though like to emphasize and amplify a thank you. And so if we could just kind of snap it up a little bit for yourselves. Such a great conversation we've been having, such amazing poems. Let's though not leave without giving a little plug for the fundraiser that y'all are doing. So tell me a little bit about where you're going, what's it for, where we can support that whole thing.
So we are headed to the Brave New Voices International Poetry Festival in Houston, Texas from July 18th through July 22nd. We are raising funds. You can actually donate on our website. That's www.heardemsay, HEARDBMSAY.org. And then the top right-hand corner of the website, you can actually donate there. And all of the funds will go towards helping these amazing young people attend the largest spoken word festival in these United States, in the world. And so we've been very fortunate to attend. This will be our 9th year attending. This will be our 9th year attending, and we're very proud of that. We started initially in 2010 for the first 3 years. We actually did this as a co-op with Orlando because we didn't have enough young people to field our own team. And there were other cities in Florida that were already attending. And so we were afraid that if Orlando and Tampa submitted an application to attend, that one of us would get left out. So we actually did this as a joint venture for 3 years. And then in 2013, we actually stepped out and were able to field and send our own team to DMV. And so we're very proud of that we've been able to send a team of all Tampa young people or Tampa Bay area young people for the past 6 years. And also too, this was our largest poetry slam season to date. We had over 25 young people for the over 3 months that came out, attended workshops, and competed to be on the slam team. And actually we had 2 other young people that didn't make the Heard 'Em Say slam team, but will actually be going and participating with the Orlando team as well. So we'll actually have 8 young people from the Tampa Bay area that will be representing at Brave New Voices, and we're very proud of that.
It was wonderful. What was the website again?
Sure, it's www.heardemsay.org. Okay, so we've been requested to do it in sign language to show just how lit we are. So HEARDEMSAY.
You could have done that a lot.
So here's what we're going to do for the celebration listeners. If you pause this and screenshot where we're at right now, head over to heardemsay.org. Is it org or com?
.org.
Head over to heardemsay.org. Any donation you give, if you do so, you're going to get an hour-long free coaching session with myself and the Celebration Academy on anything regarding business development, social media management, personal development, and that's a $300 value. So if you donate even a $5, you'll get a $300 free coaching session. So if you do that right now, that's what you're going to get. So let's, have this be that when they wake up the morning after this episode's releases, it's like, oh my God, we have enough to go. So we want to have those bragging rights, y'all. So head over there now. $1 goes a long way. If I've been on these kind of poetry trips, and it's really those people that gave $5 that really allow you to get that lunch the team desperately needed in between sets. And so you might think, they need a couple $1,000, $5 not going to matter. It really matters. So please, please, please pause this, head over, forward me your receipt or take a screenshot. Let me know, and we'll hook you up with that. Does that sound good, y'all?
That sounds excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We also want to let y'all know that, as you might have put together, this Sunday, June 24th, this is going to be your features. It's going to be the largest feature we've had, and this is our 2-year anniversary for the live and online expression session. So if you want to register for that, head to tomrell.com/events, and you can sign up. It's absolutely free. You can attend from anywhere in the world by video, by phone, by streaming, anything you'd like.
Free.
Nobody does that out here in LA. I'm the only one. Only $5.
That's practically free.
There we go. Glad to see the Florida poetry tradition still going strong. So join us anywhere from in the world. This has been awesome, team. I just want to, from the bottom of my heart and the top of my spirit, want to thank y'all, want to honor the legacy that you're continuing, the courage that you spoke with, and the power that you possess and that you're owning. So can we snap it up for your wonderful and powerful selves? Yes, indeed, y'all. Show notes for all of those social accounts, because I know some of y'all are on the go. Some of y'all are driving. You're at work. You weren't able to write all that down. Don't worry. We're going to have it all linked up for you. Show notes are tomearl.com/heardemsay. Heard as in heard. say. All of that will be linked there. Once again, y'all, would like to thank you so much for sharing your poetry, your gifts, your talents. It means the absolute world to me and to my audience. Folks who are listening, hit these folks up. Let them know how much you appreciate them. We once again appreciate you sharing your time, your energy, and your gifts with us. And as always, we're wishing you peace and blessings.
Hey, wait. We definitely also want to thank you for having us and congratulate you on 2 years. So congratulations.
Appreciate that, y'all. Appreciate that. Hope y'all join us this Sunday. And now, as always, wishing you peace and blessings.
One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.